Hello, my name's Clinton and I'll be your guide through this second module of Day 7. We're going to talk some more about the index laws. Please don't forget to pause this presentation at any time if you just need a bit more time to think about something. Let's go through some examples using the index laws that we saw in Module 1. To start with, let's simplify the following expression. We need to start from the inside out. First we'll simplify the top, and then the bottom, and then we'll combine them. The top is the cube root of x squared. Since the cube root of any number is just that number to the power of 1/3, the cube root of x squared is x squared to the power of 1/3, which is x to the 2/3 by the second index law. Remember, the second law tells us to multiply the indices together. The bottom, x, is already as simple as possible, so now we can use the third index law to subtract the indices. The index on top is 2/3, and on the bottom it's 1, because x to the 1 is 1. So the third index law says the answer is x to the 2/3 minus 1, or x to the minus 1/3. Here's another example. Let's start with the bottom. The square root of x to the minus 1 is x to the minus 1 all to the half, which is x to the minus a half, again by the second index law. We now have to multiply this by x to the minus 2, and use the first index law to get that the bottom of our expression is x to the minus 2 minus a half, so x to the minus 5 on 2. But the original expression that we had to simplify was 1 over this. Since 1 on x to the a is x to the minus a, using a equals minus 5 on 2, we see that the answer is x to the 5 on 2, since two negatives make a plus. Now pause and try these practice questions for yourself. Press play when you want to continue. Here are the answers. Press pause and then press play when you want to continue. Remember the power law for differentiation, which allowed us to differentiate any polynomial. We've only used this so far when n, the index, was some positive whole number. The power law also works when n is negative, or even a fraction. Now that we know how to manipulate indices, we can differentiate some more complicated functions. The power law for differentiation says that we need to bring the index down in front of the x, and then reduce the index by 1. For example, to differentiate the square root of x, which of course is the same as x to the 1/2, we bring the 1/2 out the front and make the new index 1/2 minus 1, which is minus 1/2. To differentiate 1 on x, which of course is the same as x to the minus 1, we bring the minus 1 out the front and make the new index minus 1 minus 1, which is minus 2. And since x to the minus 2 is 1 on x squared, we can write our derivative in this way. Let's look at another example. If f(x) is this function 3x squared plus 1 minus 3 on x squared, we know we can differentiate this function just by looking at each term and using the power law. The first term is easy. It's just 6x. The middle term has derivative 0, since it's just a constant. And for the final term, we need to differentiate 1 on x squared. Rewriting this as x to the minus 2, we can bring the 2 out the front and make the new index minus 2 minus 1, which is minus 3. We also had a 3 out the front, so the answer is minus 6x to the minus 3. So the derivative of the whole function is 6x minus 6x to the minus 3, and we can take the 6 out as a factor if we like. Now pause and try these practice questions for yourself. Press play when you want to continue. Here are the answers.